Playing up in San Sebastián is an historically difficult visit, and that Real Sociedad side made Barcelona suffer for their 3 points. And for those who've been with me since the Valverde days, I think you know what's coming next. Of that statement I just made, I know that Barcelona didn't quote-unquote play the Barca way, but they got the 3 points, and a lot went wrong, and Barcelona probably shouldn't have got a result, and they were fortunate that they did. So the 3 points continues to be the main point here. And I want to keep my expectations in check because that's the whole point of this. And in the long run, honestly, I'm not sure if those injuries or the 3 points will matter more. Only time and some injury updates will tell. But for now, let's do it. Those 5 headlines from Barcelona's 1-0 win over Real Sociedad. 1 is against the pressure. Real Sociedad started this game like a bat out of hell, and also in the second half, they certainly came back up with some fire and brimstone. They were physical, they pressed high, and they gave Barcelona almost more than they could handle in the first 10 minutes or so of that match. The positive is that maybe it was the return of Araujo and Piqué, but Barcelona's back line, at least at that point in the game, they stood their ground and they survived the early momentum and the early pressure that was coming from Real Sociedad. And that put them on the front foot for the rest of that match. In those first 10 minutes, Ferran Torres and Dembélé were able to find some space. And that was really important of relieving that pressure. And it's unfortunate that we can juxtapose it against what we saw in the second half, when Dembélé and Ferran Torres and Aubameyang were not the outlets that they were in that first 10 minutes. And because they were able to deal with that early pressure, Barcelona were also able to get the first goal. A lot of the credit here goes to Gavi for tracking it down, but it goes to everybody. Dembélé was the one who got the initial shot, almost curling it into that far post. But again, Gavi tracking down the rebound, and then that ball over to Ferran Torres, Aubameyang, both of them staying onside and getting Barcelona up 1-0. We did talk last game about Barca conceding first in 14 of Xavi's 30 matches, and thankfully, this match wasn't added to that list. For Aubameyang, it's 9 goals in 11 games, and there are roses and thorns to that too. 9 goals in 11 games is far exceeding our expectations for output that we wanted from Aubameyang when he came in January on that free transfer with Barcelona, probably paying him just a little bit more to sweeten that deal and make sure that he was going to come to Barcelona. But I do still have expectations for Aubameyang. I think that he needs to do better of holding the ball up and helping, especially throughout 90 minutes, of relieving that pressure. Because in that second half, Aubameyang certainly, you asked what the question was when Real Sociedad was able to put Barcelona under pressure once more for almost the entire second half of action. And Aubameyang wasn't holding the ball up well, and his first touch definitely let the team down on more than one occasion. But unlike some of the major media outlets will put it this way, I also always want to make sure I give credit to the opposition. Real Sociedad were playing in front of a hungry crowd at home, and they're desperate in the top 6 too. They're desperate to get into the top 5 and try to push into the top 4. Unfortunately, a loss for them, I mean, again, not unfortunate for Barcelona, but unfortunately for them today, this result pretty much sealed their fate into finishing in either the Europa League spot or Europa League playoff spot. I want to thank OneFootball for sponsoring this video. OneFootball is the app I use to keep myself up to date on all things FC Barcelona, everything I need to know, as well as check on every other team that Alemany could be scouting right now for a big summer transfer window. With a custom-tailored homepage, stay up to date with breaking news, live scores, and even transfer news. While on the go, you can check with matches in live time and watch videos afterwards. Use the link in the description for a free download of OneFootball on Android or iOS to put all of your football in one place. And you'll help out a tiny Barca channel too. Thanks to OneFootball again for sponsoring this video. Now back to the Barca business. 2 is HOBBLED Barcelona. Here's where things are going to get pretty negative, and it doesn't really have much to do with the performance on the field. Jordi Alba, Ronald Araujo, Dani Alves, all going down. Gerard Piqué going down as well, and it's incredible to see that Jordi Alba probably should have left this match, but because of the limited options on the bench for Barca today and the trust that Xavi doesn't have in some of those players, it was Alba who had to be the strong man, and Piqué also probably stood on the field longer than he needed to. There'll obviously be more updates by the time you watch this, but for now, we know it's an Araujo knee, which is scary, and an Alba groin. Every time there's something positive to mention, we have to bring up an issue. And just as Piqué comes back too. A positive note is that Piqué handled Isak really well, but he also got roughed up in the contest. The injuries are terrible. Barca may have enough quality to survive Pedri going down, and obviously they've dealt with no Ansu Fati, but the drop-off along that back line has been evident in just the last week. And that drop-off on the back line is something that is not the same for that midfield without Pedri or that front line without Ansu. Even Alves, aside from a giveaway he had in the 31st minute that wasn't too great, and also in the second half when he suffered physically, defensively, Alves, his first touch was, a chef's kiss, and his positioning was so important as an inverted right back playing in the midfield to, once again, relieve some of that pressure for Barca with some close passing to get out of trouble, especially in the first half. So here's my positive spin on it. I'm a hopeful guy, so I want to throw this little conspiracy theory at you for just a moment here. I put a little bit of trust in Matteo Alemany, a name we really only mention in the summertime in January when he's trying to work some of that magic. And I think my conspiracy here is due to the very overpriced and shallow market for fullbacks. I think the club is doing everything in their power to keep that business completely under wraps. And now with the Haaland money not going to Haaland, I think Barca is currently and may have already lined up some fullbacks. At least a left back, because Barca may try to survive next season with Dest at right back along with 39-year-old Alves and Araujo's spot starts at right back. But when Alba started limping and Balde isn't even on the bench because he's missed so much time in the last 2 years and is once again looking for form with Barca B, there are no left backs. It's just Dest who played out of position and came on for the injured Dani Alves at right back. And I'm reminded to wish good luck to Ricard Pruna and his medical staff, because just like the players on the field, they're going to try to survive and do their best for the remainder of this campaign. Number 3 is when Ferran makes sense. I feel like a kid where I'm trying to, a toddler, where I'm trying to jam the wrong shape into one of those puzzle things, or I'm trying to jam the square into the circle, or whatever it is. You get the point. Because Ferran Torres, he made sense at times in this game, especially in the first half, and in the second half, all those naysayers are going to have something to talk about, certainly. When Barca lost their intensity, Ferran Torres didn't make as much sense because I had mentioned earlier, that front three did not help Barcelona get out of pressure, especially in the second half, when their first touches were letting them down and they just weren't in those spaces to help Barca fully clear. But leading up to that goal, and when Barcelona were doing better of getting out of pressure in the first half, Ferran Torres made a lot of sense. And it's understandable why he's the forward that Xavi trusts in the way that he does. Not only is he young and he's able to play 90 minutes game after game after game, but his movement with Aubameyang made them both make more sense, if you will. And it's also what led to that goal. It was Torres dropping into the middle to switch the play, and as he made that run, Aubameyang would shift to the left wing and stay there to defend if he had to. Real Sociedad adjusted well in the second half, though. I don't think they actually changed anything structurally, but instead of continuing to be overtly physical, they relied on their talent in 1v1 situations, and they forced Barca to defend. And that moved Torres and Aubameyang and Dembélé back into Barcelona's own half of the field. And the deeper Dembélé and Ferran Torres receive the ball, the easier it is for anybody to deal with them, obviously. So for Dembélé and Ferran Torres, as much as Barca is a team that's going to build slowly or build through their midfield, and that's how they are at least getting their best results, getting Ferran Torres and Dembélé moving downhill and working wide, working up the field, and moving a lot up the field in those 30 to 40 yards before they get into the Real Sociedad penalty box, that is where Ferran Torres in particular really needs to shine for this team to click and this team to get out of that pressure. 4 is La Real had their chances. I'm once again going to give credit to Real Sociedad because they probably did deserve some kind of result from this game, and I think they were hard done by with that 1-0. As poor as the referee was, by the way, I'm going to throw that out there too. The first half miss from Isak where he shot it wide, and the miss by Sorloth at the far post, plus the contact in the box at Araujo and Sorloth just prior to that. There was Ter Stegen's heel save on Sorloth in the second half, the Ter Stegen right-handed save. Real Sociedad had opportunities but could not convert. You always feel bad for teams when they have so many chances and they can't get somebody to convert because you feel like they've earned something, they deserve something. But you know what? I actually don't feel bad for Real Sociedad in this case, especially after the fans behind Ter Stegen's goal in the second half were throwing projectiles. Not so great from the La Real crowd. And then even at the very end, Eric Garcia, I guess there was a little bit of karma for that crowd because he likely did pull down Sorloth, and probably Real Sociedad deserved a penalty late on in that game, but Barcelona, they were able to sneak their way out of that one. And I think 2 things worked in Barca's favor tonight. Mental toughness and luck. They had the mental fortitude to stay organized in ways that they weren't in the last 2 matches, and they also had a bit of luck, as I said, to get that goal and then defend like their lives depended on it and have Real Sociedad not finish the job. And 5 is results overall. I know this is the one that creates a little bit of controversy because people are going to be frustrated at the way that Barca played. Because certainly, that last 45 minutes gives you very, very little hope. This is a team that can finish the job in the Liga this season. But they did capture the 3 points that they had to, and again, a place that you have to give credit to the opposition to. That is a place that whether it was Messi, whether it was Xavi on the field playing, Iniesta, you name it, Samuel Eto'o, playing up in San Sebastian is a very difficult spot to play, and it's always a hard environment. And it is odd to see that Barcelona struggled so much at the Camp Nou and there's so much controversy that they were able to get those 3 points on the road when it really was just them against the world, if you will. Barca had to fight all the way to the very end, and they did just that. And I do laugh a little bit about those 10 minutes. That seems like a bit of a joke to me. And the reason why, fortunately for Barcelona, they had to face down 10 minutes is because Real Sociedad kept taking out all their players. And so the extra added time was because Barcelona kept having so many injured bodies have to limp off the field. It's just frustrating that Real Sociedad seemingly were rewarded for their combative nature. But more importantly, I end this game looking at the league standings. Now Barcelona 6 points up on Real Betis in 5th with 6 matches to go. One of which is that game in hand against Rayo Vallecano this weekend. 3 points from that, and it's 9 points up with 5 to go. That'll work, that'll get the job done, but you still gotta play the matches and just finish this strong. Like you, I'm frustrated because this is a team that we've seen what they're capable of. But right now, looking at that squad, just go to Transfermarkt and you see all those little red boxes with the white crosses in the middle. That means the players are injured, and there's just more and more of those to really influential players. And you look at the market value on the right side of the page, all those high numbers for those players that are injured, yeah, not too great. This is a hobbled squad right now, and again, it really is a skeleton squad at the moment that Xavi's going to try to get over the line and finish in second place in La Liga. I want to remind you too that the goal is always to finish top 4. And we can start to get excited. We don't know exactly who. We know some of the names, but there are summer reinforcements coming. It's almost already time to get excited about, and I know Christensen hasn't been great of late, but Christensen and Kessié and Pablo Torre, there is some reinforcements on the horizon, all with their own questions, but all that will certainly add depth to a squad like this. So when these kind of injuries in today's game do happen, there are quality top-level players, and you're not asking a question like, hey, Riqui Puig hasn't played more than 15, 20 minutes in the last month. Can he be the one to be trusted? You're not asking that question. So let's wrap it up. Let's accomplish that goal. Finish top 4. Certainly 3 points on the weekend would be really helpful. Before that, though, we've got a podcast coming. And as always, until next time, Forza Barça.